the male gaze and how women and men see their bodies very differently. And my perspective is that I feel very comfortable with the insecurities that I have about my body, and I feel comfortable showing my body in various art forms because I am an artist. So I don't mind a photographer taking a picture of my nude body, and I don't mind tanning naked outside, or I'm not uncomfortable when I see a woman breastfeeding and having her boob exposed. Or, you know, if I was at a nude beach, I would be naked. And sometimes I wear shirts where they're kind of see-through and you can see my nipples. I'm not doing it for the sake of seducing people or tantalizing people, but because I see my body as art and not an object, as some people view a women's body. And from the perspective of my boyfriend, he feels uncomfortable with these feelings that I have, or these perspectives.
For the sake of video, I don't mind women breastfeeding, and I know everything. Yes, we're having a debate. It's going to sound like I'm not for it and Sid is for it, but
I mean, we do want to reach a compromise, but at the same time,
we're going to give you our views of what the situation is and just how we feel about it. So
what's your...
My view for nudity, it's fine that, you know, men and women view their bodies if they're comfortable being naked around other people, and, you know, so on. Sid was saying before that about the male gaze, it's more men looking at women in a sexual way when they're nude, and
or even not nude,
just because of how history was and how people perceived women as just, oh, well, we can do this with a woman. And although not every male thinks that way, women also think that way about men too, and it just shows more in men.
Women think what way about men?
How men look at women could also be the same way that women look at men. Women look at men.
But,
more in a sexual way. So you can have women out there that say, wow, that guy, you know, I really want to do something with them or be with them. And same thing goes for men to women.
But what I'm trying to say is just because I'm at a nude beach and I'm deciding to tan naked doesn't mean that I want someone to come up to me and grab my vagina or my boobs.
Well,
it's not an invitation just because I'm naked.
Yes,
and I feel like
that.
And I feel like a lot of guys think that, you know, if their girlfriends do something like that, that they're inviting people in, which is not true. And just because I see a man who is naked, just because I see their penis, doesn't mean I'm like, oh, I want to be on top of them. If I'm not attracted to them on a personal level, just because I see them naked doesn't mean that I'm attracted to them.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's not your intention personally to be nude around people and to have people stare at you. That's, you know, and that's you being just comfortable with your body, which is perfectly fine. However, if somebody, like a partner, is uncomfortable with you being around others naked, then there is somewhat of a compromise that has to be made, because in a relationship, it's, you know, relationships are about trust, love, compromise, you know, talking, which is why we're making this video.
My arm is starting to hurt.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't have a stand. But at the same time, you may not intentionally being, say, I'm naked, everybody look at me. You're not doing it for the attention, you're doing it because you're comfortable. Other guys are going to look at you and other girls are going to look at you.
Isn't the intention behind it what matters? If I was sending people nude photos, if I was sending men nude photos of myself as a way to seduce them, I see how that would be a problem.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, people do that all the time because it's more of a sexual thing. You want to obviously engage in something further. But at the same time, when somebody is uncomfortable with it, then that's where that line has to be drawn somewhere. But if I'm uncomfortable with you being naked in front of people, in a relationship aspect, you should kind of see that and understand why I'm uncomfortable, or whoever is uncomfortable. If the roles were reversed and it's you that's uncomfortable and not me, you would have to say, well, this is how I feel. We all know you feel uncomfortable. I don't care if anybody sees me naked. It's not my intention to have people look at me. That's fine with me because I respect your view and I respect how comfortable you are with your body.
But should we have to change our belief systems for the sake of
changing your belief?
For the sake of being in a relationship?
Well, relationships, like I said before, they have to have compromises. I say,
yeah, but what about, aren't there things that people can't compromise on? That they just have to learn to deal with? Like if I wanted to get married in a temple and you wanted to get married in a church, one of us would probably have to convert to make that happen. And if neither people are willing, then it's like, okay, let's get married on the beach.
Well, yeah, that'd be the compromise, But it's, in this aspect, it's slightly different because you're talking about your body. So in my view, in a relationship, your bodies are sacred to each other because, I want to give all of myself to you. I'm a very traditional person when it comes into a relationship. The reason why I feel uncomfortable with you being naked around people is because I just feel that it's part of sacredness. I mean, it's not necessarily have to do with sex. It's more of, you're showing off your body to people, and
but I can't control how other people might feel about me showing my body.
Oh, I'm driving, by the way, so I'm not going to be staring at the video per se, but yes, I understand that. However,
and I think that's the main worry that you do have, is the fact that other men would be gazing at me.
No guy likes when somebody's staring at their girlfriend in a sexual way, because obviously their minds are doing what their minds do best in that situation.
But isn't that an underlying problem of how?
Well, I mean, that's how everybody is.
That's not how everybody is.
Maybe some guys get off on other guys staring at their girlfriend and saying, "Hey, I want to do something with you," but at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything, because if they know that they're together.
I don't know. I just think that whole idea feeds into the belief that women are sexual objects, and
not all the time.
If they're
some guys don't look at that. Some guys aren't like that.
If they're your sexual object, then you have to shield them from and save them from other people.
See now, here's what I think about what you just said. You're in a relationship, right? Yes, sex is involved in a relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it might be. However, it's not just about sex. So I'm not looking at you as a partner and saying you're my sex toy, or my sexual being, and nobody else can, have you. Which, obviously, in a relationship, unless it's open, you wouldn't want anybody else to have you. But you have that sort of sacredness when it comes to your body being shown or projected in that way. Again, not your intention to do so, but some guys don't like the fact that other men can see them, or women for that matter.
But where do you draw the line? Because
well,
if a woman's wearing a bathing suit and at the beach,
oh, they're covered.
Yeah, but you could still sexualize a woman who's wearing lingerie, or a woman.
You can sexualize a man that's wearing a Speedo, or have muscles, or they like to, I don't know, wear.
I guess the issue here
bikinis.
is that's not how I view people.
That's not how I view people either. I don't look at women with bathing suits and be like, oh wow, look at that girl's ass, or look at her chest. So
isn't the idea behind it then you not wanting other people to see my body in certain situations, more that you don't want them to sexualize me?
It's more of, well, obviously you can't force somebody to not sexualize you or me. If a woman was looking at me in that way,
But that's normal.
Yeah, no, of course it is.
People
But when you
go to a store, someone's gonna think you're attractive.
Yeah,
and might
but you're
try
not
and
gonna
hit
walk
on
around
you.
the store naked.
Yeah, but
when you're walking around the store naked, then you're enhancing that sexual, I guess, gaze that men and women have, and you're giving them something to look at, and rather than having them use their imagination. Obviously,
But
again,
I don't think it matters whether a person is clothed naked, wearing a bathing suit, wearing lingerie, wearing a Speedo.
But
I think if you're gonna look, you're gonna look, and there's nothing you can do to control what other people see, feel, or want. But
yeah, of course you can't control other people's thoughts or actions.
But I think it's the freedom of being able to express your body in whatever way.
Yeah, but
you're
expressing your body, and you want to express your body, but are you doing it for you, or are you expressing it out in public for other people to gaze at? When you put it that way, when you say you want to express yourself, what's the expression there? I'm naked, and I'm comfortable that I'm naked around other people.
Well, in the situations I presented, the hypothetical situations that I have found myself in or could potentially be in, I wouldn't mind being naked and having people draw me for an art class.
Well, I mean, that's different. That's you.
I wouldn't. If I was naked at a beach, it doesn't mean I'm asking for attention and asking for people to have their way with my body. If I was stripping on a pole, that doesn't even mean that I'm asking for people to come over and touch me if I don't want to be touched.
Well, strip clubs are a little different. You're kind of encouraged to do that for obviously tips and whatnot. But
yeah, that's the woman's choice, and I'm sure that she has a boyfriend and maybe even a husband.
Well, all this you can say about men too. Men are strippers. Men go home to their wives as well. But you also have somebody who's comfortable with you doing that. If you have somebody who, yes, I'm comfortable with you being naked. However, I'm a little uncomfortable with your public nudity just because I'm a traditional person. So now in my way, where would the compromise lies? The compromise for this situation would be like, oh, okay, I just have to deal with you being naked in front of people and fuck what I think. So in that way, you're not compromising. I'm doing all the work by saying, okay, well, go and be naked in front of the people, because from what you're getting at is that you're just gonna do it. And this goes for any relationship that might have this issue. So
but I'm not gonna just go on stage and strip in front of people.
Well, it's not about stripping. It's about you're gonna go to a beach or or a event or maybe a nudity party or whatnot. I don't know what those are called, but you're willingly going there, willingly taking your clothes off because that's the theme of the party. And when somebody's uncomfortable with that, what are you gonna do? You're partner's uncomfortable, are you just going to say deal with it? Or do you want to come to a compromise? Or are you just going to say, well, I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing and I don't really care about your opinion?
Well, where would the middle ground be?
That's what you would have to work on. The middle ground for, like I said, for
That's
me...
what I have to work on?
No, as a couple, that's what you would have to work on. For me, like I said, if you were uncomfortable with me being naked, then I would try to do something. Say it's for an art photo. Hey, listen, you know, for the sake of, you don't have to explain the whole situation, but if you're compromising and they say, well, I want to draw you naked or take photos of you naked, you know, well, I have a little issue with being fully nude. If I could wear something that just covers me, whether it be like, I don't know, what women do for, I don't know, stickers or like whatever, just to cover.
Or how about
then that would be a compromise. I know it sounds kind of far-fetched. Well, I mean, I don't know what the obsession that men have with boobs are, but.
Well, everyone has boobs and everyone has a butt.
Well, you can be topless in some
I understand
states.
that private areas like a penis and a vagina are, you know, more intimate and more sacred. I mean,
but
if
at
you,
the same time,
you can't post your dick or your vagina on Instagram. It'll get taken down right away. But if you post your boobs, not really.
Well, no, because now it's more rationalized that
and
those
I personally,
you're for a woman, your chest and your boobs, they're meant for raising a child and bonding with your child. So we've gotten to the point in history where it's okay to do that. It's okay to breastfeed in public because...
I mean, some people don't agree with that. But.
Well, of course, you're gonna, no matter what, any sort of topic, everybody's gonna have their belief on it, and a lot of people are gonna disagree and agree and whatnot. However, if you're talking about, like what you said, your penis or your vagina or even your ass for that matter, you say it's sacred, yet...
I don't think an ass is... I mean, I think it's all sacred, but I mean sacred in the sense that it's more private. Like, I feel... I don't really care about showing my butt either, because, I mean, in a bathing suit, you can see my butt.
Well, you're going to see whatever your bikini choice is. So,
my butt shows in... Your butt shows in pants.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It hangs out of a bathing suit. Your vagina doesn't hang out of a bathing suit.
Unless you want it to.
Unless you know.
Yeah, but however, you're saying that you believe that your vagina or maybe your butt is sacred. So, is it less sacred in a way for you, or what kind of sacredness do you feel about your? Well,
I think my whole body is sacred. Just because I think something's sacred doesn't mean it's not for others to see.
Well, do you want it to be for others to see?
In the sense of it being something that is natural and normal and beautiful and artistic.
Is it natural to be at a beach that isn't a nude beach?
I think it's natural to be naked. You were born naked.
Yes, you're not going to come out with clothes on in your mom.
It's just society, you know. Okay,
Okay, why do they wrap babies in towels? To get all that shit off of them, but to keep them in towels, they're not going to just keep them naked.
Well, it's because of the reason why we wear clothes is because if you had your vagina hanging out at all times and your butthole hanging out at all times, you know, bacteria and insects and things like that can get in your body and get all in your nether regions. Your boobs, though, it's just skin. It's just skin, and, you know, when you're pregnant and you have those hormones, it produces milk for your child to feed on. That's all boobs are. It's just fat. A butt is just fat that you poop out of.
So when you being naked at a beach or a nude beach...
Babies come out of vaginas. In that way, is a vagina sexual? No, it brings people into this world. It's only sexual if you want to lick it and touch it and be inside of it and do things to it.
Okay, but
because you're viewing it sexually.
Would you risk all those things that you just listed for the sake of being naked on a beach? If you're going to risk infection or sand or whatnot,
well, it's for
getting into your nether regions.
It's for how long? Maybe like a few hours.
And then bacteria lives on everything. Bacteria is in that sand right
but
there.
a vagina is also self-cleaning. But what I'm saying is in like tribes and things like that where, you know, they don't wear clothes, they might wear like a loincloth just to cover it because maybe they're menstruating or maybe, you know, they don't want bugs or bacteria getting up there. And, you know, a vagina is self-cleaning. And
well, the fact that they're covered says something too. So where is the compromise in that? Where's, okay, well, I feel comfortable being naked around people, that's fine because I feel comfortable in my body and I'm not doing it intentionally to have people get aroused. But you know that's what's going to happen. You know that men are going to look, women are going to look, and, you know, although it's not in your intention.
I want to question the idea of why it's looked at a certain way.
Well, how come not everybody around is walking around naked? If it's okay, you can bring up the whole...
Because society had us wearing clothes. Because it gets cold. And clothing protects us. But in areas like, you know, Africa, where some tribes still don't wear clothes, it's warm there.
It's warm here in the summer. But
so we could be walking around naked.
No, you can't. You get arrested. That's public nudity. It's
that's because
exposure.
The government views the body that way.
Well,
or our government.
Are you willing to go to jail for being naked around whatever?
Well, I'm not going to walk around. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll walk around a mall naked just to make a statement if I have to. That's something
the statement is going to end in you in jail.
Big deal.
And people are going to be like, oh, how, you know, look, that person got arrested for being naked in a mall. And then life is going to go on. Because...
Well, that's what art is. It's making a statement, making people think and question things. And that's how...
But you want to do that?
That's how I see it.
Saying, hey, I'm naked, look at me?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what would the idea of walking around a mall naked be?
That...
You're making a statement, so what, are you making a statement to yourself or are you making a statement to people?
Making people think and question, like, why is it a big deal?
But at that point, then your intention is to have people look at you.
Well, people will look at me because I'm naked and that's not the norm. But there are some situations where it is the norm and it's not a big deal. And the whole reason why it's inappropriate to be naked is because people view the body as being purely for sex.
Not all people do.
That's why people are uncomfortable with nudity, is because they think that everyone who is naked wants to be fucked. And is that true? Just because a girl has her stomach hanging out, does that mean she wants a guy to feel her up? No. When I was in high school, I wear tight leggings, and this guy just grabbed my ass in the hallway. Did I ask him to grab my ass? No. But he saw it, and he was like, oh, that's a nice butt. I'm going to grab it because I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but I told him to fuck off. But I was fully clothed, and that still was an invitation to them. And not all men are like that. That's not what I'm saying.
Not all men are just going to go up to you and
But I'm also saying that not all men are going to sexualize me just because I'm not wearing clothes.
Yes, that's true. But as you were saying before, we are in, I don't know, a stage of our lives where that's highly considered for men in your case. And, you know, to say that, okay, well, I'm going to be naked and I don't care, but then when somebody comes up to you or tries to approach you and you're going to tell them to fuck off, that's you caring, isn't it? Because now you have somebody who is coming up to you.
I wasn't naked when someone came up to me and I told them to fuck off.
Okay, and it was an invitation, but...
It was an invitation?
Wouldn't you think... It wasn't an invitation, but wouldn't you think that being naked would pose an invitation at some point to some people?
No.
You don't think that I'm naked in front of people, not that I care, but
in the
people aren't
context,
gonna come up to me or
in the
try
context
to do
that I would be naked, because I would not be naked because if I was going to an orgy.
Well, that's obviously different.
Obviously, that would be different because that crosses the boundary of being in a monogamous relationship. So that's different. But I'm saying that I would be naked in the context of taking an art class, letting people draw me naked. They're drawing me for the sake of learning about the lines of my body and drawing it and making it look like how they want it to look like, you know? There's no intention of the professor saying, oh, she's naked, so I'm going to touch her in front of all of my students, you know? That's not an invitation. Or me being at a nude beach and wanting to not get tan lines and everyone else around me also being naked. There's not people having sex on the beach because that's also inappropriate.
Well, a nude beach is different because it's encouraged for you to be nude because you're comfortable.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is I'd be in situations with my nudity where I wouldn't be inviting people in.
Yes, we all know that. You doted upon that plenty of times.
But you're saying that being naked means I'm inviting people in.
No, I didn't. Your intention,
You did say that.
Your intention isn't. I'm saying, wouldn't you feel, or not maybe you necessarily, other people will feel like it is an invitation because of how the males think and the women think. Okay, that guy grabbed your ass because he liked your ass, right? And he just did it because he did it. So somebody might do it again while you're naked. Somebody's gonna look at you and say, wow, that girl's naked, I wanna be with her. That's also to other people an invitation. It might not be you saying, hey, come over to me and talk to me, but to some people, it's gonna be that way. And that's where that line of comfortability is, because I wouldn't feel comfortable with men coming up to you and trying to pick you up naked on a beach or anywhere else, because you're in a relationship. And for me personally, you know, I wouldn't like somebody coming up to you or you being fully naked and having somebody try to pick you up. It's obviously different if you're at like a bar setting and I'm not there. At that point, it'd be your job to state that you're in a relationship if somebody was trying to flirt with you.
Yeah, but
at that point, you're naked. And, you know, most people think, well, she's naked and she doesn't care. Even if she has a boyfriend, she doesn't give a shit. Because some people think that way. Some people have relationships with multiple people while they're in relationships.
Do you think people think that way because you think that way?
No, everybody has their different views.
So then what does it matter what other people think?
Well,
because I'm gonna do it.
It matters when you're in a relationship. It matters when you're in a trusting, loving relationship and one party is uncomfortable with something. That's why you make compromises. Fuck what everybody else says and what everybody else thinks. If you're doing it because you're comfortable, that's fine. But if you're putting love and time and, you know, just being with somebody because you want to be with them and potentially be with them in the future for long-term relationships, then that's where a compromise should take place.
So because I'm in a relationship, I have to...
No, you're not changing, you're compromising. There's two different things.
No, I didn't say that. I said because I'm in a relationship, when I go out in my backyard to get sun or to go in my hot tub, I can't take my top off because my neighbor might look out their window and see me topless, or...
Well,
that doesn't mean I want him to come over.
Obviously not. It's not your intention to do that. You're just comfortable enough with your body. But if you're in your yard, then you're technically in a private facility. You know,
But a public beach where people are allowed to be naked.
Well,
it doesn't mean everyone there is trying to have sex with each other.
Yeah, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is relationship and comfortability and compromise. You're just keep going on and on about
because
Okay, well, I'm comfortable.
I want people to question why we think this way, because
Yeah,
a lot of people think this way.
Of course. A
it's
lot of
because
people are
sex
gonna question
sells. It's because if a girl's on a magazine wearing a watch or a perfume and she's naked, they know that that's how you attract men into buying the product. Because a lot of men see women as
all right, but what
products.
about bodybuilder magazines? What about men that are really built and fit? Women like that. Women look at men, maybe not you, but a lot of women look at guys and say, wow.
This is about me because, you know, what I'm doing with my body.
If it's about you, then why do you want people to question it?
Because I don't want people to question what I'm doing, but they can. I want people to question why we view our bodies this way.
Because that's the way society made everything, made everybody believe. And just like what you see on the news, do you think everything on the news is real? Hell no. But guess what? They're going to try to promote it as much as they can every single day. It's going to be talking about the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to have people that are going to just feed into it and believe it because, oh, well, it's on the news and it's being reported around the world, so I'm just going to believe it.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Well, that's like basically everything that like we hear, see in the news, in the media. It's essentially hypnosis because the human psyche is so sensitive that it is very easy for people to suggest things to us and engrave things into our mind. And we're not going to see it as such unless we develop the power to question it. But what I'm saying is when we constantly see, you know, when we're growing up and we start masturbating, a man is given a Playboy magazine by his dad if he's lucky, or his friends, and you know, you're taught to look at the naked woman and be like, whoa, that's exciting, it's forbidden, and ooh, I'm doing it. Or porn.
Women do the same thing. Women masturbate every day of their lives.
I'm not saying masturbation's bad. I'm saying that these things are like ingrained in our mind. Even, you know, Sports Illustrated magazines where, you know, beautiful women are, you know, wearing a bathing suit and people still jerk off to that and it's a bathing suit.
Well, yeah, you know.
But it's the seeing of it and the belief that, oh, it's forbidden and I'm being bad. Just like how some religions say that, you know, masturbation and sex before marriage is bad. The idea of it being forbidden and like a forbidden fruit thing makes it more tantalizing and makes it more mysterious, and that's why people still seek it out, and that's just ingrained in people's minds about a woman's body.
Okay, but women do the same thing with men's bodies.
Well, I don't look at a man.
I'm not saying you, I'm just saying general. I don't look, alright, like, contrary to popular belief, I'm a man, and when, say I'm out with my friends, or we're just walking down the street, and this girl is wearing...
tight pants.
Yeah, tight pants, or booty shorts. My automatic thought isn't to say, wow, I'm going to stare at her and turn my head when she passes me by to look at her. That's just how I am. Most people are like that because you have physical attraction to people. That's why you meet in the first place. I mean, unless you're, well, no, not even Tinder and stuff like that. You're looking at these people's pictures. The first thought, it's not like, oh, let me read their biology, you know, their bio. It's, oh wow, she looks attractive, or he looks attractive, so now I'm interested. That's just how your body is. That's how your mind is. And if you're thinking more into it, it's more for a reproduction purpose, because that's what our bodies are for.
Well, yeah.
To reproduce.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that physical attraction is, because you're not going to have sex with somebody that you're not physically or, you know, visually attracted to. So, yeah, a lot of people look at men, a lot of people look at women when they're passing by, and that's just how it is because of
Well, there are people who get into relationships who aren't attracted to people physically. They're attracted to them mentally.
That or their personalities and whatnot. And that's, I don't know if it's how rare it might be, but that's a connection. You know, everything's a connection. Your physical attraction to one another is a connection also. But in the way of how everybody perceives everybody else, men look at women, most straight men look at women as an object of sexual activity.
Yep.
And it might not be the same for women, but women do the same to men. And
well, I personally,
well, if you look at percentages, I'm sure the males are going to outweigh the women. But have you ever had a friend or a girl that just says, well, I can't wait to fuck this guy, or I really want this guy? You know, I used to work with somebody that had an attractive looking guy as a guest, and she was serving him, and anytime she would come around, she would say to her girlfriends, I want to sit on his face. You know, that's the woman doing it to the men at that point. So yes, it does happen, but men just do it more often than women do. And
but
it could just be testosterone in that way, but so
but how often
really,
do you hear stories? It happens. I'm sure it happens, and
yes, but
and it probably doesn't get reported as much as the other way around. But you know, how often do you hear of women going up to men and grabbing their crotches and harassing them unwarranted, or molesting them unwarranted?
Well,
certainly less common.
Yeah, it is less common. I'm sure.
Why is that?
Because men have this thing called testosterone, and they have to feel masculine, and they want to feel in control. So they're going to do what they think
men are inherently the aggressors, because, you know, men are usually seen as the pursuers and women are seen as the receivers, just because of the way our biology is, that women have...
Well, this all dates back...
Women have vaginas, and vaginas literally receive the penis.
This all dates back to the times where the woman stays at home and cooks and cleans and whatnot while the men go out and work, and then they come home and then they're supposed to cater to the men. That was put up to be a belief up until, I don't know, whenever women's rights came around.
Well, when it all changed when men went to war, and women had to join the workforce because the economy was crashing.
Yeah, exactly. So now a lot of people still believe that. A lot of people still believe, hey, you know, this is your place, and, you know, mine is to work, and you to stay at home with the kids. You know, obviously, we're in 2020 now, so it's a lot different. Women have jobs. Sometimes the male stays at home now. Sometimes they both work and put their kid in daycare. You know,
but
to say now we're not equal is kind of redundant, because men do the same thing that women do, maybe a little more, but it's still going on between both sexes. So where is a line drawn to what's comfortable and what's not comfortable nowadays? You know, I mean, I'm talking more traditional sense when we're talking about you being naked in front of people. That's just how I am, because that's how I was raised. I'm Italian. I came from a traditional Italian family, and that's just how it is. You know, when you're in a relationship, you're more sacred to one another rather than having somebody stare at you and while you're naked and whatnot, because in, you know, traditional relationship styles, it's not like that. You know, and it's just how you're raised. I mean, my beliefs
I was raised
are
very different.
Well, now we're growing up, my beliefs are very open. Like, okay, I'm Italian and I was raised Catholic, but look at all my tattoos. You know, how many times have I sinned because I have tattoos or piercings? You know, so I don't follow my religion the way I'm supposed to, but there are still things that I do believe, and that's part of my belief from being traditional. A lot of people, are open-minded nowadays, which is great, because now they're not tied down to something that they might not believe, and they're just forced to believe it. So,
well, I see nudity, especially the top half of a woman, because a man can't walk around just waving his dick around, but a man can walk around with his shirt off.
Well, women can do that in, New York now, I think, right?
Yeah, but I wanted to take my top off in New York City, and
I was uncomfortable with that, but you were going to do it, and you saw a creepy guy in his car with a kid, and you didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, yeah.
However, you were in a park surrounded by a whole bunch of people. Now you're going to say, well, they're not going to, my back was to them, and they're not going to look at me. You can't say they're not going to look, because most people will. Because it's something that's not ordinary, and it's something out of the norm for people, because of how everybody was raised to believe. So
well,
when you do
in
something
that
like that,
context, I thought about other people, and I thought, okay, I'm not gonna take my, I had the thought, I was like, oh, like I'm in New York, like I could take my shirt off and tan if I really wanted to, and then I saw that right in front of me was a child and a father standing by his car, and I was like, okay, like I was starting to like question the whole idea of it, because I was like,
But at that point, you care what somebody else thinks about you.
Because I'm thinking about a child, and me showing
isn't it natural for a child?
showing my body in front of a father's baby. That's.
Yeah, but that kid was brought into the world
And also,
naked.
I would be taking my top off in front of people who are fully clothed, which is quite different than me taking my top off in front of a nude beach of people who are also nude, and that's what it's meant for.
Didn't you say that you didn't care what people thought, and you were just comfortable with your body, but now you're in a setting where you had to think about, hey, should I do this or not?
In that moment, I saw it as, this is a child.
But what you were saying before, children came into this world naked, so isn't it natural for them to see a naked body?
In that aspect, I wanted to respect this child and this parent, and I was thinking about,
Okay, so
I was thinking about how they might feel about it.
Okay, now that you said that, let's go back to our relationship.
But
now,
wait,
well,
but what
no.
Be careful.
So now that you said that, and you're thinking respect, and you're thinking, well, this person might be disrespected that I did this. So what makes your boyfriend different, or your girlfriend for that matter? So where's that compromise? You compromised with somebody that you didn't even know. You compromised with a kid that you didn't even know.
Because I wanna do something on my terms, and not because someone else wants me to.
All right. Well, you didn't know if that person wanted you to. That person might have wanted you to take your shirt off, or knew that you were going to and wanted to sit back and watch. But now that you I respect this person, I want to give them respect to their kid and themselves, and now you're not going to be topless, but you're not going to do the same for your significant other. Because of what reason? So now you're saying, well, they might not feel comfortable about it. Now it's different, but I'm in a relationship and this person is comfortable with me. So that means they're going to be comfortable with everything I do. That's kind of what you're getting at.
I also want to challenge your beliefs.
Well, I mean, you knew I wasn't keen to that idea in the first place, just because of how I feel and how comfortable I am. But if you're going to say stuff like that, where I want to show this person respect and not do this because they're raising their kid. They might raise their kid to save themselves for marriage, say, and you don't know that. You don't know how they're going to be raised. However, you wanted to keep your shirt on for the sake of respect to that person and their child. So now you're in a relationship where you should potentially respect and, kind of do things that you normally would do to
But,
compromise.
I mean, my challenge is I don't like the idea of compromising my freedom. And
Well, it's not your freedom. It's just
And-
because you have a disagreement or somebody's not comfortable in the relationship. Like I said, for my belief, if it's turned around and, you know, say I'm the girl or whatnot, or just even me being naked in public, and you felt uncomfortable with that, I'm not saying, well, now I'm being controlled because I have to be clothed because my girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other doesn't like the idea of it. I want to compromise because I care. I'm not going to say, well, you're trying to control me. Some people might say, hey, well, you know, it's my body, I'm free, I can do whatever I want. So that's where your different belief lies as to where the conversation goes. So if it's you thinking, well, I don't want to compromise my body and I don't want to feel like I'm not in control of my body, that's what your belief is going to be, which is going to make you want to do it even more. So for me, it's not, hey, I'm trying to control you, don't take your clothes off in public. It's more of, well, I'm not personally comfortable with the fact and I would like to, you know, come to some sort of agreement where we can both be happy, you know. So now a lot of people that are going to watch this and going to think about this whole thing are going to say, well, what would make me happy is you not taking your clothes off at all, which isn't necessarily true. So,
I think you were supposed to go fun.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going. We're just
Exit 1 mile.
So, which is what I was saying before. Maybe if I feel uncomfortable and you're going to be in front of people that are going to paint you, if you had yourself covered just for your private parts, to compromise and say, you know what, I want to do this for my significant other because I know they feel uncomfortable about it and I want to do it out of respect for them. So there's that where that respect lies. You wanted to respect a guy and his kid by not taking your shirt off because that's how you felt. But when you're in a relationship, you should do the same thing, right? You should respect your significant other and you should compromise with them about what you can and can't do necessarily. Not like in a controlling way, but more in a, I care about you.
That's where you would park and it's closed.
Of course it is. Well, it's raining anyway, but...
Why don't we find somewhere to get out?
Okay.
And like...
Just kind of just chill for a second.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's a good compromise because personally, I feel comfortable showing my boobs more than I feel comfortable showing my vagina to random people.
I feel like, you know, on the subject of it, men might not be comfortable showing their bodies, or they're uncomfortable with women showing their bodies or significant others and whatnot, because it doesn't give them power per se. You're not, at that point, you're releasing your power to your significant other because they're naked. And now when you're thinking about it in a more sacred way, that sacredness is gone because you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, whatnot, that wants to show off their bodies and doesn't care because...
But I think showing your body is powerful.
Yeah, but in the way of how, I guess, if we're gonna say it in my point of view, how men see it. You know, men like to be in control of most things, and this is not true for all men, but most men. For me, I don't like being controlling. At times where you have to take hold of a certain situation, that's fine. Women and men do that in all types of relationships. But in the way of your body, men want to be in control because they don't want anybody else to feel threatened. You know, or they don't want to feel threatened by anybody else coming and trying to pick you up or look at you and whatnot. That's just how people think. And, you know, some women don't like when other girls flirt with their men or whatnot, or their significant other. And
but no one has control over that.
Well, yes, exactly. So,
and
that's the point where
even if you have a wedding ring, doesn't mean people aren't going to hit on you.
Oh, yeah, no, of course not. The people do it anyway. And, I mean, if you're doing that, it's more for a sexual reason in most cases. Because if you see a wedding ring and you don't give a shit, you're just, well, I want to talk to this person because I think they're attractive and I want to do something with them. Most of the time,
or get to know them.
Well, I mean, if you're doing it in a flirtatious way, then that obviously sends a different signal. But that just depends on where the conversation lies. But I mean, it's power, and most men want power, but they don't.
Over their women
or significant other. They can be in a male relationship or whatnot, but it all depends on the person. Like, I'm a masculine person, but I'm also an emotional person, so I like compromises. I like being able to be fully comfortable with you and talk about most things. Like, whenever we have like an argument, it's not really an argument, it's more of a talk. Yeah, like, we can both get heated at times, but it just ends up with just us talking it out, and then that's that. Most people would argue and, say, well, this is what I think, and that's the only thing that matters, without saying, well, I'm thinking about you too. So, everybody's different, but most of the time it's more about power, and it's more about, well, I don't want you to do this because it affects me too. You can take your clothes off and say, well, I like the fact that, I can be naked and whatnot in front of people, and that's fine. But at the same time, it just comes back to a compromise as to why you feel this way and why I feel this way.
And this video is an hour long.
Well, I mean, this is a pretty good debate. If you gotta piss, go piss.
All right, you could just talk if you want.
Well...
Oh, I'm pissing in public.
I might ramble, though.
Ooh, it smells like rain.
It's because it's raining out.
Yeah, but, I mean, it doesn't always smell like rain when it's raining.
Well, so, in the aspect of, I might make a lot of men mad by saying they just want power, and that's it in a relationship, and they don't care. But I'm sure some men do actually care about what women think.
Oh, by the way, if you do expose yourself to a child, it's
obviously illegal.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I didn't do that.
How long did it take you to think about that?
I just had to make that point in that argument because it's and it's understandable because
I gotta piss too.
It's very triggering.
Yes, it is.
And
you can talk too.
It's inappropriate.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what else I have to say.
Well, I mean,
so what is our compromise then? Oh,
yeah,
you're junk.
I'm taking a piss. See, it's okay. I'm comfortable with my body, but we can't show it on video anyway.
Well, the way I was raised, I'll go into that. The reason why I am the way I am is because my mom, she had no problem walking around the house naked,
but she's also in her house though.
Yeah, but
she's in a safe haven,
But yeah, but not all parents do that.
No, of course not.
And also, we have a really nice private backyard and a hot tub, and she would take her top off and tan, and I'm just used to that. And also, my father always was against it. Now they're no longer together.
Well, that's not the reason, is it?
Well, the reason... Let's not go into that.
Okay, well... Well, I was saying it's not because your mom's walking around naked.
No.
Here, put it on both of us.
But, that's why I'm the way I am, is because...
Because, well,
in my house, if someone's showering, we only use one bathroom, really, so we break into the bathroom when someone's showering if we have to pee.
Well, it's different. That's with your family, because I mean, I have 6 brothers and sisters, and I mean, I'm sure we've all seen each other at one point in our lives, you know. So, and I mean, it was just like fine for that to be. I guess that's okay because it's your blood. You're not gonna, well, hopefully you're not gonna get aroused by seeing your family members, but. I understand.
Well, all humans are family. We're all related.
Everybody is one. But it all comes down to how comfortable you are. And
I respect other people's bodies.
Well, yeah, of course. You respected...
Like, just because I... You know, the reason why I'm attracted to people doesn't come down to their muscles or what they're showing or not showing or even their outside appearance. It's usually just a feeling. And when I see women on Instagram in bikinis, I don't judge them or
of course.
Compare myself to them. And I think that's also what makes people uncomfortable is their own bodies, so they find other people's
Well, that's
bodies
what I was going to say
uncomfortable.
before when I was talking about the male stuff. Some males, obviously, you know, unless you're taking Viagra or something like that, or any penis enhancement pills that make you look larger, not necessarily.
Who would go to a nude beach and take Viagra? That's fucked up.
This is what
I'm sure if they get it hard, they go in the water.
This is what I'm getting at. So, obviously, men that, you know, don't have a hard on, you know, obviously their penises aren't huge, you know, they're not big, and most men feel unmasculine if somebody else sees them and say, oh, hey, look, you have a small penis or whatever, just because you're
like
not
in
hard.
The changing room at school and
stuff like that. So that's probably why most men are uncomfortable with that, because women don't have that issue. Women just have what they have. And
yeah, but some women wish they had bigger butts, bigger boobs, smaller noses, and we go through surgery and all sorts of things to make ourselves
men do that too.
Look more attractive.
Men can, well, obviously that's more common in women, but men do get, you know, like facelifts and whatnot, stuff like that. But
I've met guys that have gotten nose jobs.
Yeah, I mean, my nose is kind of big in a way, but I'm not gonna get a nose job because I'm comfortable with how my nose is, you know. But in the aspect of being naked, men might feel less masculine because, you know, it's not much to see. You know, with women you have more to see, and that's what is that attraction that men have to women and women have to women. So yeah, it's a hard compromise to come to, but you know, if I was comfortable with being naked just like you are, and I wasn't how traditional I am, then yeah, I would be 100% comfortable with you like being naked out in public. However, it's just not really, I'm just feeling a little uncomfortable about it. So if there's a compromise where like if I was with you and we're both naked, then I'd probably feel a little more comfortable with it because we're both doing it, you know? And at one point it gives me somewhat of a security because people will see us together and assume that we are together. So then that would kind of phase people out of trying to come up to you and try to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And that might not be true for all people because that's just not how it is. But in that way, I might feel a little more comfortable with being out in public with nudity, like for you, you know? So that could be a compromise also. And most people would say, well, you're not really compromising, you're just doing what she's doing. But isn't that a compromise as well?
Yeah.
In a way. So I'm sure there's 100 different ways to compromise about it, but without changing your own beliefs or without feeling like you're being forced to change who you are, because that's not what the goal is. The goal is to say, well,
I feel a little uncomfortable with this, so how can we come together as a team and fix it? You know, it's not necessarily, okay, well, I just have to do...
And the compromise is, you know, if I go to a nude beach, I'll take my top off and not my bottoms off, which honestly I feel more comfortable with.
And, you know, well, I mean, well, for nude beach...
And, like, anytime I've ever, like, posted myself being shirtless on, like, social media...
Yeah, you kind of had it covered with your hair or whatnot. Or, like, you would draw X's or whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and that's just you doing it for the sake of social media and being respectful toward others, because not everybody is going to scroll through their feed and look for naked people, you know.
And also I do know that there's men out there who would screenshot it and do what they like with it.
Well, that's...
And unfortunately, too, like with jobs and stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean...
They'd be you know, that's just the way people are. I get that.
You know, but
it's, I mean, I'm trying to pose the question of, you know, why as a society are we like that?
Well, I mean, that kind of dates back to what I was saying before, where, you know, women weren't equal to men at a certain point, and now that women do have their rights, and just like men do, just like how everybody in the world, well, maybe not in the world, in America does, now maybe some men find it as a threat rather than, you know, well, you're supposed to do this because you're the woman, you know. And unfortunately, some people aren't going to change. Some people aren't going to look at that and say, well, you know, times have changed and now, you know, we have to adapt to that. So where's that line? You know, I fully like that women have rights and they can do what they want with their lives, because that's how it should be all the time. But
that sounded...
What? No, I mean, I don't care that women have rights. I mean, I think we should all have rights anyway. But
I know, but I don't know.
Well, there are people out there that don't believe that. You know, I'm sure there's some cultures in the world still that are like that.
Yeah.
And
in Morocco, you can't kiss your significant other.
Really?
Yeah, you'll be arrested.
Oh. Well then.
In public. In Morocco, if you're gay and you're seen holding hands with someone of the same sex, you will also be arrested. But it's also more, it's not a religious state, but I mean, it's based on, their government is based on religious concepts of Islam.
Well, I mean, you know what? You also have that somewhat in America too, where, you know, people believe, okay, you're born and you're supposed to be, well, in Guy's point of view or whatever, you're a male and a female should be together, and that's that. Some people, yes, we have gay rights and transgender and bisexual and lesbians and all that, and people still, to this day, don't agree with that.
But it's kind of just like, get with the times.
Well, yes, you know? Of course. Love who you love, there's
always been gay people. There's always been...
Yeah, and,
the Greeks were having orgies with men and women.
Well...
Ancient Greeks.
You know, it was kind of like what you were saying the other day. You know, when you're like... Some people in their 50s, they get a divorce because they're gay. And they've had to live a lie for however, you know, how many years, because... At the time, that was it. You couldn't be gay. You couldn't be a lesbian. You know, you couldn't like the same, you know, both genders. And now it's becoming more, you know, accepted, but still people don't accept it. And that's how it is. And some people don't accept that women have rights. And what are we going to do about that? You know, I mean, you know, you can't change everybody's beliefs because... You just can't. I mean, you'll probably see it more in older people because that's the time that we're living in. But they're going to raise their kids to believe the same thing that they did. and it's not gonna.
I mean, there was a time when our ancestors were racist, and now
yeah.
it's like, get with the times. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there was slavery in the world, and there's
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all God's children.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve were naked in the forest.
Well, yeah, and it's just how the world is. Everybody should accept everybody and everything, and
But they also have the freedom not to.
Exactly, and it's just like how. Well, I was gonna say how people like Trump and people don't like Trump, but like that's with every president in the world. I'm sure everybody liked them and people didn't like them. That's just how it is, And I feel like in a perfect world, everybody should just accept one another. It's not well, hopefully maybe one day it'll happen. Maybe it won't happen when we're all alive, but...
Well, I just want people to be encouraged to question why things are the way they are and why they think the way they do.
Yeah, no, I understand that, because, I mean, like I said, personally, I'm a traditional guy, right? And I want to compromise with you about nudity and whatnot, but I still also have the thoughts that most men would about seeing their significant others naked in public. And that's not wrong for me to think. That's not
it
something...
It wouldn't really be in public.
Well, I mean, I guess, well, I mean, for me, it'd be... Bless you. It'd be in a public setting, whether it's you being painted naked in front of people or being drawn naked in front of people. You're still in public, technically, and you're doing it for art, but at the same time, some people are just not gonna be comfortable with that. And you know what? It's something that maybe I need to accept. But you got another one?
I don't know. I think we should end the video because
it's getting a little out of hand now. An hour and 7 minutes. But what do you want to end on?
I'm gonna read.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna read the definition of the male gaze. In feminist theory, the male gaze is the act of depicting women and the world in the visual arts and in literature from a masculine, heterosexual perspective that presents and represents women as sexual objects for the pleasure of the male viewer. And I would like to add that a lot of the bosses in corporations that produce things in the media that sexualize women, and a lot of people in government are, governments are primarily represented by men, and men do have higher positions in the world than women do, at least in America. And I think that has to do with why the media, the news, still likes to depict women as sexual objects. And I just want to acknowledge that, because that is the reason why some people do see women the way they do.
Well, however, I'm sure there are thousands and thousands of women who, in this world, own their own businesses.
Yeah, but I'm saying that, like, the owner of a makeup line, right? Usually a woman, I would say, because men don't wear makeup. And when they cater, well, men don't always wear makeup.
They don't go out putting makeup on and stuff.
Unless,
Gotcha. Unless
they want
interview
to.
or actors and whatnot. Go ahead.
No, unless they want to.
Well, yeah.
Cross-dressing isn't a problem. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that, you could actually look it up that there are images in the media for, what's the word I'm looking for? When they're trying to sell you something in a magazine.
Subliminal messaging?
Whatever, yeah. But,
Advertisement?
a cologne for a man is more likely to have a sexualized woman in it or for cars, you're more likely to have a woman spread eagle in a bathing suit on the car to try and sell the car. If you're trying to sell it to a man. If you're trying to sell it to a woman, likely in the media, they're going to, have children in the car and a family because, women are here to reproduce and give birth, So I'm just trying to say that, that is something that happens. And, when you go out to buy makeup, you just see a woman, a celebrity wearing makeup. No duh. You don't see their cleavage, you don't see their butt because they're trying to sell it to a woman, not a man. So they know what people want to see, and there's a reason why people want to see it. It's because that's all they know. And that's what they're used to seeing.
Okay. Well, I mean, for advertisements also, they're...
Oh, that's the word I was looking for, advertisement.
I said it before after I said subliminal messaging, but there are commercials that have the woman, like, say, take Axe, for example, Axe body spray or body wash or
she's like,
shampoo.
Oh, you smell so good.
There was one that I remembered where two attractive looking girls were talking to a pig and showing them the bottle and saying, "Find me a dirty boy," and then the pig found some dude that had greasy hair and they were washing his hair for him and stuff like that. So that advertisement was more like,
oh, I'm gonna buy this because women will wash my hair and think I smell good and want to fuck me.
But it was the woman that was the aggressor, not the man,
Yeah, but still, you're buying the product because
you're the subliminal messaging to that is, if I use this product, then women are gonna like me.
Yeah.
Women are gonna be attracted to me more. So, but they're using women in a seductive way, which, okay, some women are gonna do that willingly because they're getting paid for a commercial. But there are also women out there that do go up to men and like seduce men without the male doing it, or even, thinking about going and doing it. So you just see it more as a male aspect because of the whole masculinity and all that shit.
Toxic masculinity.
Well,
Let's look up that word.
Go ahead.
Because
unfortunately,
that's something a lot of people throw around.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, it's, if you really think about it, commercials that are like that still go with the time of men have to be masculine and men have to be this way for women to like them.
The concept of toxic masculinity is used in academic and media discussions of masculinity to refer to certain cultural norms that are associated with harm to society and to men themselves. Behaviors of toxic masculinity. Shame, dissociation, and avoidance of emotional expression. Boys and men don't cry. And they only are angry. Extreme aspiration for physical, sexual, and intellectual dominance. Devaluation of women's opinions, body, and sense of self. Condemning anything feminine with another man or equating affection for another man as being sexually attracted to other men, resulting in higher social isolation and loneliness, lack of social cohesion. So that's toxic masculinity. So that's, I would say, being like, it's like, I guess, a word that feminists use often. And I wouldn't even say I'm a feminist. I'm just saying that I want to make people question why they think the way they do about the female body. Really
obviously it's a good topic. We've been talking about it for an hour and 15 minutes, but it's, I don't know, you're gonna get such a mixed bag of beliefs, and that's fine because it's the point of this whole thing is to question whether or not what you believe or not, and what you are comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. So, the women's body, well, to me, it's not just a sexual, something sexual to look at. You know, that's just how my belief is, because I'm not, you know, of the norm of men who have to just be attracted to women that are naked or in a bathing suit or whatever unadvertised, but they're gonna be a lot more men that are. Like, I'm masculine, but I'm not, but you know, I've cried, you know, I feel emotions, I've been hurt. I'm not gonna just act like a, you know, like a tough guy and just brush it off like it's nothing. But that's how most men are supposed to be perceived, and that's how most men are supposed to act. And women are supposed to be attracted to that. And obviously that's not true. Like, for you, you're attracted more to getting to know the person and, you know, well, what their beliefs are. And, you know, it's not just like, oh, wait, that guy looks hot, you know?
Yeah.
It's more than that for most people. Obviously, physical attraction is something of importance, but, you know, I feel like it sparks, like, the idea of
potentials.
Yeah, getting to know somebody. But at the same time, like you were saying before, you can fall in love with somebody who isn't per se attractive in your view, but attractive with their personality and have what their beliefs are. So, you know, that's also a toss up too with a lot of people. And, you know, I'm with you on when you say, you know, men sexualize women, because I do believe that, but it's not necessarily true for most men, like for me. And, you know, I mean, I have a bunch of friends that don't think that way, you know, and I mean, I just think there's the mass majority still believes that most men have to just be masculine and that's it, and then, you know, they're gonna just keep trying to visualize women just as an object rather than a person. And, you know, that's unfortunate, but
I think we've made some valuable discoveries.
Yeah, there's a lot of points being thrown around.
I think we should
I like that you drive.
this conversation.
I know. I like that you try to drive your opinions home to a lot of people, which is cool. But I'm more like simple with explanations.
Then why is this video almost an hour and a half?
I mean, I'm sure you did most of the talking, but
no, you talked.
I know. I
spoke.
I did. Oh, maybe. We'll see.
If not more.
Well, we both gave our beliefs, and I mean,
I think we've come to a compromise, and that's all that matters.
Well, yeah. I mean, compromise is a huge part about anything, any relationship that you have with somebody. It could just be a friend that you're debating about, and, you know, whether to do this or not, you know, and it's just compromise that will ultimately make your friendship or your relationship better.
Stronger.
Yeah, stronger.
Stronger, better, faster, stronger.
So, all right, well, we'll leave.
What are we going to call our podcast?
Well, I mean, let's see. Maybe the compromise between men and women, or
I mean, if we make like a like a channel.
Oh, like a channel.
We'll do this off camera.
Yeah, we'll do it off camera.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hi.